Last week was election time here in America, Minnesota, Becker County, and throughout our great land. And the nation spoke very loudly, which saw a Democratic wave come back through on the federal end, with Barack Obama winning re-election, the Senate remaining in Democratic hands, the Republicans remain in control of the U.S. House, but not by quite as many seats as before. But frankly, that's nothing, in my opinion, compared to what happened here in the state of Minnesota with the Minnesota elections. 2 years after the Republicans took control of both the House and Senate in the state of Minnesota, they've been swept out of power by the Democrats. So how did this happen, and what does this mean? Well, I think this happened for one big reason. The Democrats were able to pin two controversial pieces of information and two constitutional amendments on the Republican Party and paint them in a negative light with those. Those being the government shutdown, which occurred in 2011, July, around that time, which lasted 20 days. The Democrats did a good job of blaming the Republicans for that shutdown and the subsequent bill that ended that shutdown. And part of that bill was the second piece of information that I believe the Democrats used to their advantage and in a very skillful and cunning way, and that had to do with the loss of the homestead market value credit. A piece of legislation that has actually led to continual surpluses the last 3 quarters in the state of Minnesota, but did cost some individual homeowners a little more in taxes, mainly those in greater Minnesota. But it was mainly in the affluent parts of greater Minnesota, such as here in the Detroit Lakes area, lakeshore property, and farmers. There were many people in smaller communities such as Lake Park, Audubon, Callaway, Wolf Lake, Osage that actually saw their taxes go down anywhere between 5 and 7%, and a lot more people in the metro also saw their taxes go down. However, metropolitan taxpayers were still paying significantly more dollars on their property than rural Minnesotans. But that's not what people understood. All people understood was your taxes went up by a piece of legislation the Republicans proposed, signed by Governor Dayton, in order to end the state shutdown. And they were able to run with that and convince everybody on that issue. The second part had to do with the constitutional amendments. I think the Democrats did a great job of framing these the way they wanted them, framing the marriage amendment as a civil rights issue rather than a family issue, and framing the photo ID amendment as a financial issue rather than an integrity and voting issue. And because of that ability of the Democrats to frame that, you've seen them come into power once again in the state. So what does that mean for Minnesota? It means for the next 2 years at least, Governor Mark Dayton's going to have whatever he wants in the state. And I fear this means extremely high taxes in order to help solve our budget situation instead of being fiscally responsible. Governor Dayton, before the government shutdown that same year, his first year in office, proposed a tax increase which would have made Minnesota the second highest tax state in income behind only Hawaii for upper income earners. I also think you'll see that legislation come back, and if you're an in-home child care provider, be prepared for that unionization. Remember, he issued an executive order last year, a judge overturned it. Now he's got the legislature behind him. These are just a couple things I think we can look forward to in the next year. But who knows? Maybe some good will come out of the Democrat-controlled Minnesota House and Senate. But all I know is it's their bill to write for the next 2 years, and we'll see what kind of check we have to write to pay it.